This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Adesu Suyi, and this is Africa Now. Mali's presidential and legislative elections will take place February 27 next year, with a second round of vote in March. The interim government, who made the announcement on Thursday, said it was a sign of its commitment to strictly uphold a pledge of an 18-month transition for returning to an elected civilian government after a military coup last year. An electoral plan presented by the transitional authorities also showed that the referendum will be held in October 31st of this year and council elections on December 26th. Mali was plunged into a political chaos after the ouster of Ibrahim Boubacar Keita and a military coup on August 18 last year after a mounting wave of protest against his handling of Mali's conflict and the country's economic malaise. The country also faces a major logistical and security challenge as swaths of territory are in the hands of armed groups. The Ugandan government has admitted to having held more than 1,000 people who were arrested in the run-up to January's elections. The Internal Affairs Minister told Parliament most were still in detention. The government has been under pressure to respond after the opposition National Unity Platform (NUP) party said more than 400 of its supporters and members were missing after being seized in raids by the security forces. Singer turned NUP politician Bobi Wine was the main challenger to President Yoweri Museveni, who went on to win a sixth term in January. Earlier this week, UN human rights experts called on the Ugandan authorities to stop suppressing their political opponents. On Ethiopia's Tigray crisis, addressing the United Nations Security Council on Thursday, UN Aid Chief Mark Lowcock said sexual violence is being used as a weapon of war in Ethiopia's Tigray region. Thursday's briefing was the fifth private council meeting since fighting between Ethiopia's federal government's troops and Tigray's former ruling party began in November. There is no doubt that sexual violence is being used in this conflict as a weapon of war, Lowcock said, adding the majority of rapes are committed by men in uniform, with accusations made against all the warring parties. Prompting the U.S. envoy to challenge the body's silence, Lowcock asked if African lives not matter as much as those experiencing conflict in other countries. He added that the world body had not seen any proof that soldiers from neighboring Eritrea accused of massacres and killing in Tigray have withdrawn. The council has so far been unable to agree on a public statement on Tigray, with Western countries pit against Russia and China, which diplomats say question whether the body charged with maintaining international peace and security should be involved in the crisis. In health, a Lesotho-based manufacturer has become the first African cannabis grower allowed to export cannabis products for medicinal use to the European Union. MG Health Chief Executive Andre Bothma said the firm had received certification to export cannabis flower as an active pharmaceutical ingredient (API) under the EU's Good Manufacturing Practices Protocol. What this means is that they have authorization to export their product as an API into Germany and the wider European market that is expected to start in June, he said. The contract is for a minimum of 2 tons for the first year, said Bothma. Lesotho has helped pioneer the nascent legal cannabis sector in Africa, which could be worth more than $7.1 billion annually by 2023 if new laws are introduced, the African Cannabis Report said 2 years ago. The European Union and the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States have formally concluded negotiations on the new partnership agreement. Togolese Minister of Foreign Affairs Robert Dosey says the main objective of signing the agreement is to improve the living conditions of the populations of 2 blocs. The agreement also includes a strong new regional focus and governance structure tailored to each region's need, a first in over 40 years of collaboration. The document is not due to be signed until the second half of the year, but the framework for political, economic and sectoral cooperation over the next 2 decades has already been documented. This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. You're watching Africa Now. More stories after the break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry with his Moroccan counterpart Nasser Bourita on Thursday held virtual talks during which they discussed bilateral relations and joint efforts to achieve peaceful settlement of regional issues. Egyptian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ahmed Hafez in a statement said Shoukry renewed Egypt's support for the United Nations solution to the Western Sahara issue with the aim of reaching a political solution in accordance with Security Council Resolution 2351. Held via video conference, the talks between Shoukry and Bourita also touched on the latest developments of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, built on the Nile River. Shoukry expressed appreciation of Morocco's support for Egypt on the issue, according to the statement. The Egyptian and Moroccan foreign ministers also agreed to intensify coordination between Cairo and Rabat within the framework of the African Union to boost peace and security in Africa. In business, Sub-Saharan Africa will be the world's slowest growing region in 2021 and risks falling further behind as the global economy rebounds, according to the International Monetary Fund in its latest regional economic outlook. The region is projected to grow by 3.4%. Although the outlook for the region has improved since October 2020, the region's recovery is expected to lag behind the rest of the world with a cumulative per capita GDP growth of over the 2020 to 2025 period projected at 3.6%. The COVID-19 crisis is expected to undo years of economic and social progress and leave lasting scars on the region's economies. Capitalizing on the digital revolution will enhance Sub-Saharan Africa's resilience and efficiency, expand access to global markets, improve public service delivery, boost transparency and accountability, and foster the creation of new jobs. Policymakers will need to create more fiscal space to support these reforms by mobilizing domestic revenue, enhancing the effectiveness and efficiency of spending, and managing public debt vulnerabilities, the IMF said. A new continent-wide framework to boost trade and improve food security was on Thursday launched by the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization FAO together with the African Union Commission. The initiative will help unlock the potential of the agricultural sector to contribute to sustainable and inclusive growth across the continent and promote the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, according to the UN agency. Though African countries import about $80 billion worth of agricultural and food products annually, only a small portion of that trade is within the continent, with intra-African agricultural trade is estimated to be less than 20%. FAO highlighted the framework will help the national formulation of strategies, policies and programs which will not only promote intra-African trade but also develop agricultural value chains that all stakeholders can reap the benefits. Still in business, Namibia's President Hage Geingob has laid out the economic recovery plan for the country, which will be based on 3 key goals. Firstly, Namibia will update its national fixed asset register. The state-owned enterprises reform process must be completed, and the country will complete the implementation and seeding of a sovereign wealth fund to better steward natural and public resources. To fully unleash the country's potential, the public-private partnership framework of 2018 will be a key instrument to preparing projects in excess of 27 billion Namibian dollars over the period, with an ambition to create more than 42,000 jobs, Geingob added. Geingob, meanwhile, said with the mass employment generating sectors of agriculture, tourism, hospitality and aviation, construction and retail, and trade hard hit by the drought and COVID-19 pandemic, Namibia must pursue opportunities to foster new engines of growth. And in sports, Burkina Faso government on Wednesday announced that the nation's flagship cycling competition, Tour du Faso, will take place from October 29th to November 7th. The 33rd edition of the race will kick off in Bamfora and finish in Ouagadougou. A major comeback for the event after the race took a one-year hiatus due to the onset of the unprecedented global COVID-19 pandemic, preventing it from holding in 2020. And that is Africa Now. For more updates, visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Also, follow and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. My name is Adesuwa Osuyi. Good afternoon.